Okay, we're going to start this off with a very brief history lesson. Now, just as a warning, not everything I say is going to be exactly word for word details on what happened. This is basically just to give you a rough idea. So one day, this guy named Alan Becker was mad at the fact that computers were not portable enough. So he decided to take things into his own hands. After months of tinkering and R&D, Alan Becker was able to come up with the prototype for something called the private eye, and founded a company called Reflection Technologies Inc. This was around the year 1986, and the way this prototype worked was using a single row of LED lights reflecting off of a mirror to create an image for your eye. This form of creating an image was called scanned linear array. It was a head-mounted single-eye display that could show information to the user, like an extremely early one-eyed version of modern AR glasses. Alan originally envisioned it being used for practical things or even on the medical field, but eventually his focus shifted into a more game-related industry. Him and his team pitched this headset idea to companies like Hasbro and Sega, but unfortunately, both of them turned them down. Fortunately for them though, they stumbled upon this one guy, Gunpei Yokoi. He and Nintendo saw this technology and were fascinated by it. So, Nintendo bought the rights to the technology and they started work on a project called VR32. They wanted to make a VR headset that uses head tracking to immerse the viewer into the game. Keep in mind though that this was around 1991 to 1995, so VR wasn't very popular back then. It didn't have very much research, and it was not very consumer friendly for reasons like the price and the bulk of majority of the systems. So, as you can imagine, there were a lot of problems that came up during development. One of them was that Japan had enforced some new consumer laws, so Nintendo was forced to put a metal plate over all of the chips inside the VR32 for worries of the chips causing cancer. This led to the system being too heavy for a head strap to be utilized. So they tossed around some ideas about what was to be done about this, one of them even being a shoulder-mounted device. But they eventually settled for a table-mounted device. Looping back to the topic of price, it turned out that having full-color LEDs would just be too expensive and would raise the price of the headset significantly. So they chose all red LEDs to go with because they were the cheapest and most available. And so eventually, the Virtual Boy, as it was renamed, came out in 1995 and was instantly a flop. So now that my little history lesson on this system is over, let's talk about the system itself. This could be considered a weird place to start, but I'm going to start with it anyway. The Virtual Boy controller. This is the only way to turn on the actual console. It does seem weird, but considering how heavy the headset itself already was, it's actually smart that they moved the batteries and the power switch to the controller. Now I gotta say, this controller has amazing ergonomics. The shoulder buttons are in a really nice place. They're easy to press and the grips have these really nice indents for your fingers to lay on. Everyone really likes to hate on the fact that it has two D-pads, but I actually really like it. It's such a unique controller and the concept actually does work, believe it or not. The start and select buttons are the exact same as the A and B buttons. Now, to many people this is a little bit frustrating, but I actually think it makes perfect sense because if you're going to be playing a console that you need to stick your head into and not look at the buttons, then they do need to be easy to reach. I'm honestly very sad that we're not going to be getting a Switch Online Virtual Boy controller because I would have loved to use this for other games as well. And now we move on to the console. This thing is just really cool. The design of it, even for 1995, just looks very futuristic. On top of it, you got the dials to adjust the mirrors for your eyes, and on the bottom you got the volume slider and the two ports, one of which was never actually used. Oh, and also the headphone jack. The cartridge slider is on the front of the console, which takes a little bit of getting used to be honest. Whatever they use for the face rest on the Virtual Boy is definitely not the greatest material, and it's very prone to wear, but it's not terrible when you're actually playing it. The things that the Virtual Boy gets dogged on the most for are the red and black visuals and the eye strain. Now, I'm not saying the eye strain isn't real, because I know it definitely is, but personally, me nor any of my friends who have used this before have ever gotten a headache or eye strain. And the red and black visuals are legitimately stunning. Now, I only have 4 games for this system, so I'm going to review them all right now. However, as soon as I'm able to get my hands on the Switch Online Virtual Boy and all of those games, I will be reviewing them as well as they come out. So look forward to that. Anyways, we'll start with Mario's Tennis, the pack-in title for this system. The 3D effect for this game is actually really good. Everything from the intro where the ball will go towards your face to the unique over-the-shoulder perspective for a tennis game. The sprite work in this game is also amazing. It's still got some of the older designs for the Mario cast, but they all look so amazing here. The gameplay can take quite a while if you're doing 3 sets or a tournament, but I think 1 set gives you the perfect amount of time to play the Virtual Boy for. I'm gonna give this game a solid 6.6 out of 10. I know that there's definitely better ways to play tennis games, but this one just somehow keeps me coming back. Next up is Galactic Pinball. My grandpa was the one who got me into playing pinball games, so of course I had to get this one for Virtual Boy. Yes, I know everything is black and red, but the visuals here are legitimately great. It uses a kind of pre-rendered style for the graphics, like Donkey Kong Country did, and the ball being a puck is a bit weird, but it just kind of works. This had a lot more boards than you typically find on a pinball game in the 90s, and that was due to the black and red visuals not taking up a lot of data, so the cartridge could hold more boards. This is a great pinball game, but it's also got a lot of mechanics that make it so much better than a lot of other ones, like the Samus shooting minigame. You control the paddles by using the back buttons, which is kind of obvious because it would be weird controlling with the D-pads. Overall, this game is also really enjoyable, and is one of the ones that my friends seem to get the most playtime out of when they use my Virtual Boy. I'll give this one a very solid 7 out of 10. Now it's time for Mario Clash. This is a reimagining of the original Mario Bros. Arcade game, but done so much better in my opinion. This game makes use of the foreground and background. You stomp on Koopas to get their shells and throw them at other enemies like Spinies. On a 2D screen, the aiming can feel really hard, but when you're looking at it on an actual Virtual Boy, the 3D is very intuitive and it works very well. This game does get very hard, but it's also one of the most enjoyable games on the system. The 3D effects are genuinely great, and this could be my Mario bias talking, but I'm giving this one an 8.3 out of 10. And as for the last game that I currently own, we have Red Alarm. And they really did hit the nail on the head with the red part. Now, when looking at it on a 2D screen, like the previous game, it is very hard to tell what's going on, and for this case, it kind of looks awful. But when playing it in 3D, this game is actually really fun. It really has those Star Fox vibes. I've never made it past the 3rd level, but I'll get there someday. Overall, this game is pretty fun. It's just not the best though. I'll give it like a 5.5 out of 10. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. This portable system is one of the most interesting things I own, and I love it. I'm very excited for when the new Switch Online version of this comes out, and like I said earlier, I will also be doing a review on that and the games that come out for it. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.